Good morning, Universal. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's given me a great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Universal Engineering College, Valivatam, for the inaugural function of International Conference on Emerging Trends in Science, Engineering and Technology 2020. We shall begin our program by seeking His blessings for the day. Let the light be with us till the end of this program. I like to call upon Anaka MP, the student of S3CSE, for the prayer. Anaka, please.
ആയിൽ തുടങ്ങുന്നു ഭാഷ അമ്മയിൽ ഉണരുന്നു സ്നേഹം ആയിൽ തുടങ്ങുന്നു ഭാഷ അമ്മയിൽ ഉണരുന്നു സ്നേഹം അറിവുകൾ പകരുന്നിതധ്യാപകർ തണലായി നിറയുന്നിതച്ഛൻ നമ്മെ തളരാതെ കാക്കുന്നു ദൈവം നമ്മെ തളരാതെ കാക്കുന്നു ദൈവം.
Thank you, Anaka. We all feel blessed indeed. Next, with immense respect, I would like to call upon our principal, Dr. Jose K. Jacob, the sculptor of human character, a seasoned scholar and navigator of this flagship of knowledge, for the formally welcome the gathering. Sir, please.
Thank you, Suprabha, and a warm good morning to all. I'm very happy that today International Conference on Emerging Trends in Science, Engineering and Technology is formally inaugurating today. As we know, science, mathematics and engineering, these three streams are most important. Why? Because these three are related. They were grown together. As we know, a scientist is actually developed the rules. The mathematician is actually developing, that is converted into numerical forms. An engineer is actually implementing, or he is actually developing a strategy for making it into reality. So these three streams are most important. That is why we are conducting an international conference by considering these three together. About this program, I'm sure that this conference will be a platform to share our ideas so that the research scholars, MTech students, faculty members, and UG students also will gather the knowledge from this platform. And I'm coming to my duty. With immense pleasure, I would like to invite our Honorable Chairman, V.K. Shamsin sir. He is always with us for all programs. He is the backbone. He is always the supporting, or he is a motivating factor of Universal family. On behalf of all of us, I welcome V.K. Shamsin sir to this function. Next is our chief guest, Mr. Suhas Inamda sir. He is the head of planning and technical support of Vassal Properties Dubai. So, Ms. Suprabha will give more introduction about Suhas sir. He's always a pleasant man. He's always, what to say, he's always a charming personality, always gives a positive energy to all. And I'm very happy to invite Mr. Suhas Inamda sir to this function.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure being here.
Next is our keynote speaker, Dr. Balagopal G. Menon. He is assistant professor in Industrial and Systems Engineering Department, IIT Kharagpur. He will join within 10-15 minutes. On behalf of all of us, I welcome Dr. Balagopal G. Menon. And with most happiness, I welcome our Vice Chairman, Mr. P.K. Salim sir. He is always with us. He is a part of us. And on behalf of all of us, I welcome Salim sir.
Thank you very much.
And the convener of this program, this conference, Mr. Dennis Zidi. Denny, your work is marvelous. I welcome Dennis sir also to this function. And all members or committee members of this conference, my dear faculty members, the participants of this conference, the viewers, the my dear students. On behalf of all of us, I welcome all to this function, and I hope that this program will give you a new idea and will be a trigger to your research activities. And I wish all success and thank you very much. Yes, Suprabha, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your warm welcome for our delegates. He is a man of distinct vision and a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, an ideal of knowledge and experience and inspiration to all of us. We feel honored to have with us torchbearer of Universal Engineering College, a very perfect human and a successful overseas entrepreneur. Now, I take this opportunity to invite Mr. V.K. Shamsuddin, sir, our chairman of Universal Engineering College, for the presidential address. Sir, please.
Thank you so much for inviting me for addressing this international convention, international conference. My dear students, all participants, principal, and other dignitaries. Thank you so much. Mr. Suhas, he is my friend, colleague, and he's a very good writer. He always writes blogs with inspirational subjects. He brings a lot of, news from interiors, and he gives energy to the voiceless and bring inspirations to us. Thank you, Suhas, for your time joining us. And Dr. Balagopal G. Menon, I don't know him personally, but he is also joining us. So his speech will be wonderful for us. I'm very happy that Dr. Jose and his team is arranging such an event during this time. And it takes immense pressure for me to join here. If it was a physical meeting, maybe I would not have been able to join. But, even COVID is an opportunity for many of us here. So, thank you for everybody joining us here. And I wish all the best for all the participants, all the speakers, students, research scholars, everybody. I wish all the best. Thank you. Mr. Salim is joining us. He's our vice chairman. And Mr. Denny, thank you so much for organizing such a wonderful event. I wish all the best. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you, Salim, sir. Thank you, Shamsuddin, sir. Due to some emergency for our vice chairman, Salim PK, he needs to leave now. So that I now I invite Mr. Salim PK, vice chairman, to speak a few words. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Respected chairman, principal of Universal Engineering College, our respected Chief Guest Mr. Suhas Inamdar, Head of Planning and Technical Support, Basel Properties, Dubai. Well-renowned keynote speaker, Dr. Balagopal G. Menon, Assistant Professor, IIT Kharagpur. All other participants and listeners and viewers, welcome to the International Conference on Emerging Trends in Science, Engineering and Technology 2020, organized by Universal Engineering College, Vallivattam. As you know, this is a virtual conference and the theme includes physics, chemistry, and mathematics related topics, which is highly beneficial and informative to students, faculties, industrialists, and researchers. I am not elaborating much as I have to attend some functions. I'm totally busy today. So once again, thank you all for participating and attending this conference and hope you will enjoy it. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Salim sir. Next, with immense respect, I invite our Suhas Inabda, our chief guest. About him, Suhas Inabda is an electrical engineer with masters in financial management. He has over 30 years of work experience in manufacturing industries and facilities management in India and UAE. Currently, he is working as Head of Planning and Technical Support in VASL Properties, a leading real estate developer in Dubai. He has also worked as faculty for 1 year in Engineering Staff College of India, Hyderabad, and conducted some short-term courses on specialized subjects in electrical engineering and general management. During his career in manufacturing industries, he has worked in 5 different states: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and Maharashtra. On the personal front, his passion is to write motivational fiction stories and has published 8 books so far. These books are available on Amazon. So, with immense respect, I invite Suhasar for the inaugural address. Sir, please.
Thank you very much, Suprabha, for that very wonderful introduction about me. Good morning to all of you. Respected Chairman, Mr. V.K. Shamsuddin, Principal Dr. Jose K. Jacob, and all other participants. I welcome you all for this international conference on emerging trends in science, engineering, and technology 2020. I am deeply honored and I feel really privileged to be a part of this function and be with you today this morning. In the next 2 days, we shall be seeing a very enlightening and resourceful interaction between various research scholars, academicians, and industry experts on the modern trends in technology which shall be shaping the future. I also believe that there are 50 papers being presented in various streams by the eminent research scholars and faculty members. I compliment them and I congratulate them for this, because submitting a paper in a conference is not an easy task. It requires a lot of effort, hard work, research, and analysis. So wish you all the best. Also in the coming days, you will hear a lot of terms such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, neural networking, blockchain, BIM, and whatnot. Everything you will hear. I will be also talking on some of them. However, I shall be focusing more from the application perspective because I am from industry side. Let us start with the basic definition of science, engineering, and technology. A systematic study of any specific subject is science. And when you do the analysis of it by using certain questions, such as what, why, who, when, where, and how, then it becomes engineering. And when, with this knowledge and the analysis, you develop a product, system, services, some kind of a system process, then it becomes technology. Now, the entire field of science, engineering, and technology was much simpler, or rather relatively simpler, till 1990 when the IT revolution took place, the information technology revolution. In science, we had the physics, biology, and chemistry. In biology, there was botany, zoology, and human physiology. In physics, there was heat, light, sound, electricity, and magnetism. And in chemistry, it was organic and inorganic chemistry. In the branches of engineering, there were largely 5 branches, which is electronics, mechanical, electrical, civil, chemical, and these. However, from 1990, when the IT revolution took place, everything changed. So what exactly happened? I think we need to go back for a few minutes before we come to the modern trends, because the roots of these modern trends or emerging trends are embedded in that revolution. So exactly what happened in 1990s when we say information technology and everyone talked about information. So from where this information came? Did the information not exist before, or suddenly how it has come up? To understand this point, let us take one very simple example. Let us assume the Catholic Syrian Bank, Trishur branch. It had say 10,000 account holders, 10,000 customers. Now before 1990, when the computers came, this branch had all the details of its customers, such as their names, their address, the bank balance, their transactions, the amount which was withdrawn, amount deposited with date, everything was there. However, it was in the form of big fat registers called ledgers. So the senior members from the participants and audience who are currently listening, those who are born around 60s and maybe early 70s, they would recollect that when they go to branch at that time, the staff would take out a ledger which is pertaining to that particular customer and make entries into that with hand. Now, this might look very unusual for the young generation, the millennials as they are called, the students, that something being entered by writing with a pen about the account and all that. So the information all existed there. They had all the information. What happened in 1990 onwards was that computers were introduced and all this information was fed into the computers. In other words, the information was digitized. So if we have to really simplify and say what exactly happened, the first phase of IT revolution, as I would prefer to call it, it was digitization of the data. So the entire information was put into computers. Now, if again, remember, if those days the dispute, the debates and the discussion used to be about computerization, why should we do, or the benefits of it. And there were 2 or 3 major points which were being mentioned whenever someone spoke about computerization. Sorry, these points were like a computer saves space, because they were comparing it to the hard copies. There were so many ledgers. So they used to say this entire rack of files can be converted into one DVD. And for those who, just for fancy for the millennials, those days the storage devices were not as big and advanced as we have. Those days the floppy disk was 1.44 MB, a CD was only 760 MB, and a DVD was 2 GB. So the benefit of computerization that time was said that it reduces space, the retrieval of information is very fast and easy, and the backup is also very secure. With this objective, with this criteria, when the benefits were found in the next 10 years or 15 years, the entire information across maybe the industries, organizations, corporations, educational institutions, and everyone, they went for the digitization of their data. Now this task was achieved. Everything was in computers. Next, the question came about by 2000 or 2005, a situation arose in which there were many silos with huge amount of information which is digitized. Now that needed to be transferred from one place to another for convenience. If a company, for example, if a company has 8 industries at different locations, they all had their information with them, but there was somebody requiring to transfer the information for analysis, for research, for reporting, and for all the purposes. And that is where I prefer to call the second phase of the IT revolution started, which is communication. And the communication technology started improving from that stage onwards, and the terms 2G, 3G, 4G, and currently we are talking about 5G, they started really developing. The people with political mindset would recollect 2G in a different sense. We will not go into that, but technology wise, 2G, 3G, and 4G, they started from this time. This was the period when the emails became prominent. Before that, there were very few or restricted emails. Even the social media, like what we have, the Facebook, the Twitter, and WhatsApp, and everything, they started from this era. And now the information started flowing freely across. Today, we have a situation where there is information, there is a lot of information. There is a huge information. The data transfer is happening. Everything is digitized and transferring and all. I mean, on the lighter side, currently all of us are connected to several groups on the WhatsApp, and we really don't have time to read all the messages and see all the videos that we have. You have to reluctantly delete some of the things because there is no time available with you. And I think this is the situation with every one of us. But this underlines another point. Now we have reached a situation where there is data, there is huge data. Now this information, too much of information is creating another problem. So the future belongs to those who are able to pick out what is required, what is the best information that they need to have, because time is limited, data is infinite. And this is where the future, which I call as the phase 3 of the IT revolution, is there, which is called data analytics. Now, the data analytics next 10 to 15 years is going to rule, and that is why we call the data scientists, data engineers, and data. There would be data vice president, data chairmen also will be there in the next few years to come, because data is so important. Now, let us take one more small example of the past and the present about how data is being analyzed, or was the data really being analyzed? Were they capable enough to analyze the data earlier? Like the information we said, it existed in hard copies. Even the KYCs were there in different files, and now it is all digitized. What about the, say, the data analysis part of it? In this, let us take one example of a simple supermarket. Now, supermarkets, they started, by the way, in 1980s. In India, supermarket culture started in around late 1980s and early 90s. Now, supermarket those days was nothing but a glorified big corner shop, a kadai shop as we call it. Now, they had some kind of a digital billing where only a bill will come out at the end of it with all the items and the amount of the total amount, whatever. So the maximum analysis that a supermarket could do was find out how many customers visited their shop on a particular day, how much amount was sold, I mean, total sale of the day. And at the most, they can further compute it to one more level by saying what is the average spend of a person. But there was no any personal identity of analysis at that time. There was no comparison to say that how many 250 grams of the Brook Bond red label tea was sold compared to the, say, 500 grams of the Lipton yellow label tea sold, or that kind of analysis. Then came Big Bazaar. Now the Big Bazaar was in 2000. They launched a new scheme, a different scheme by which it was suddenly Flutter, where they said that 1 rupee kilo tomatoes and onions and all that in Hyderabad particularly. I remember this case. So what happened was everyone was surprised. How could Big Bazaar do this? I mean, what is the gimmick behind this? And then subsequently in one of the interviews, it was informed by Kishore Biani, the owner of Big Bazaar Group. And he said that the idea was to get customers into Big Bazaar. His objective was, he said, to get into Big Bazaar so that the people who come inside will wander around. They will go to some other places and they may buy something different. So this was the idea behind him, and the loss, whatever he got, was the advertisement money. That's what he considered it to be. Now, that was a good strategy, but how much of analysis was possible from this was still vague. I mean, it was difficult that how many really people came and how many people went to other sections, and then how many people really bought something else. Now, this was not possible. Now, come to today's. As you all know, I live in Dubai, and we go to Carrefour, one of the big retail giant, on a regular basis here. Now, recently, when I start buy certain things, they give some discount coupons and all that. So I found that they give me the discount coupons for buying something like dairy products all the time. I wondered why they're asking me to, giving me discounts only on dairy products. My friend, he got discount coupons for something else. And then I realized that they have applied something called artificial intelligence, by which they study the profile of every customer. They see what exactly he is buying on a regular basis, and then they will prompt him to buy something different than what he has been buying. And they entice him by giving these discounts. There was another case during the lockdown when I was stuck up in India for a certain time, almost 5 months. So at that time, I got a mail from Carrefour saying that you have not visited our stores for a long time. And what is the reason? How we hope you will come back when the store opens after pandemic and all that. Now, this was also something surprising. I'm sure they get thousands of customers, so it is not possible for them. It is again the artificial intelligence. So what they have done is that they study the profile of every person and they keep on adding the frequency at which he arrives. This is machine learning, by the way. They keep updating the data on my name, that at what frequency I come, and then they set a filter that if I exceed my frequency by 20% or 30%, then they inquire about it. So it gives a personal touch to the people also. So this is how the analytics, the data analytics, is helping people in the future going forward. Now let us come to one of the major technologies that is really taking the world by storm, is the Internet of Things. This is what we have been hearing now. Now the Internet of Things is basically, again, this is slightly gray area where some people say it is an old champagne in a new bottle, because Internet of Things probably existed partially in different formats at different times. I mean, like, for example, in the industries, the people who are associated with industries would recollect, and something called the SCADA system. The SCADA was about the supervisory control and data acquisition system for the substations. It was introduced in 1990s, if I remember correctly. So it was controlling the substation through the supervisory data acquisition at one central place. Similarly, in the buildings, there was something called building management system, so BMS. Now that was also about collecting the data through sensors and controlling it from one place. So IoT is basically comprising of two parts. One is to get the signal from the field through sensors, and second is to control it through internet. So what exactly IoT is doing is extending of the earlier concept which was already there of collecting the information, but now it is being transported to the different areas. Banking sector, the IoT in banking is something which is already existing for the last few years now. The net banking and the apps that we have, the banking apps, are an example of how the IoT is being used in the banking sector. However, what is currently catching eye is the IoT in the medical field, the healthcare field. And they have developed their own term, they call it IOMT, which is Internet of Medical Things. Now, this IOMT, currently the market is around $137 billion, and it is estimated that this market will rise to over $500 billion by 2025. Now, you might be knowing some of the things about, like, we all use. There is a step counter in our mobile, and there are health apps are available by which it tells us how many steps we have walked in a day. The advanced apps, they go one step further or even two steps further. They say how many steps we have walked, how many steps we have climbed, how many steps we have run, how many steps we have descended. Moreover, they also tell how much time we are sitting sedentary without movement. And at a preset timer, say half an hour, it gives an alert to the person to say, hey, you are sitting quiet for some time, you need to move around. Now, this is how the health apps are taking over. There are another one or two. The Apple has come out with a new feature in its gadgetry watch, Apple Watch. It is called fall detection. Now, it is used particularly very useful for old people. I mean, the senior citizens, sorry, old is not correct way to say. The senior citizens and the sick people who are out of their sickness are likely to lose their balance anywhere or whatever. So this watch, Apple Watch, will detect whenever a person falls down. This is something like a car. We have got the airbags. Whenever there is a sudden break or some impact, then the airbags come out. Likewise, this watch detects whenever there is a fall. Now, the person, maybe he has tumbled, he has tripped, but he is okay. He has no problem. In which case, he has to press a button which says, I am okay for 30 seconds. Otherwise, if he doesn't press that I am okay button for 30 seconds, then an alert goes to the nearest medical center, an alert goes to his relatives that he is in trouble. Now, this is something great. I mean, this is something helping very much. Moreover, there are some smart bottles which have come up. Now, the smart bottles are for people who take regularly medicines. Now, sometimes they may miss taking medicines. So, in which case, the IOMT, the app, they will check whether the lid of the bottle has been opened or not at that time when he is supposed to take the medicine, and whether the number of the pills has reduced or not. If it is not, then it gives an alert to the people to say, this guy has not taken. So, whoever has been informed, they need to take care of this person again. So this is how the IoT is coming up in different ways in different fields, medical being one of the exciting fields. Next, there is artificial intelligence. We hear a lot about it. Now, the artificial intelligence in manufacturing sector is really something big. We can take some cases of that. They do the quality checks through the cameras, the intelligent cameras. Now, there are many industries where the final product or the intermediate products goes through a conveyor belt in large number, bulk quantity. And traditionally, the idea or the process of picking out the defective items, pieces from this was by visual inspection. That is, someone will stand there or a team of people will stand there and they will remove the items which are defective. However, now what is happening is that there are intelligent cameras which have been fed the information by different images of how a defective item looks like. And then with all this data being gathered, it keeps on looking for anything which matches that criteria. And then there is a robot which will pick up immediately that item. Now, this is far more efficient, far more accurate than a human, because human errors are always there. So this is something. Even the AI, the artificial intelligence and machine learning, they even go by statistical methods. Now, when we talk about statistical methods, there is one very interesting case study which I would like to say here. During the Second World War, the British Royal Air Force, they were making a study of how to make their planes stronger. Which part of the plane they should make stronger? Because whenever a plane flies over an enemy area and comes back, there are some bullet marks on the plane from the bottom because the enemy is firing bullets at them. So they made a study to see which area they need to make stronger. And then they found out that there were more bullet marks around the fuselage area where the fuel tank or whatever is there. So immediately they all jumped and says, oh, see, this is the place where there are many bullet marks, so we need to strengthen that. Now they had one very good statistician. His name is Abraham Wald, and they called him and they asked his opinion also. And he said, you guys are all wrong. He said, this is not the area because you are only making a study of the planes which have come back safely. You have not studied about the planes which have fallen down. And you have to study about what makes the plane to fall down rather than the one which has come back. Because the one which has come back, rather, he said indirectly or in a direct manner that this area is the strongest in the plane because in spite of the bullet marks there, the plane has come back very safely. So this is rather the safe area. You need to focus on something different, which is a weaker area. So the AI and ML, they go into this kind of statistical analysis to see that not only the defects in the good part, but even what made the defect in the first place and to correct it also thereafter. The AI's other use of manufacturing sectors are very well known, which is about the sensing the machine's parameters and then estimating when it is likely to fail so that they can avoid a breakdown. So they have a continuous feed of the vibration, the temperature, the pressures, and the various parameters, operating parameters by which they will come to know if it is reaching a stage where it is likely to break down and then stop it and take some corrective action on that. So this is what is happening in the manufacturing sector also. There is something called digital twin, which is being currently used by NASA as well. What NASA does is they make the big rockets and all the space shuttles and space equipments. So what they do is that to make something and then find that it is defective, it is very costly. I mean, it's time consuming and costly. So nowadays they are creating a digital twin. That means something first they will create as a virtual thing into the computer, and then simultaneously when they make the real one, they are giving the real sensor input into this virtual one so that they will parallelly watch both of them and they will simulate the conditions in the virtual one to see whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether it is performing well, so that they can prevent a problem which is coming up into the original one which is in the field. So these are all the various applications of the artificial intelligence. However, there is one risk here. I mean, are there any risk of artificial intelligence? Because we hear the discussion and the debate very often that is the artificial intelligence going to take over us? Now, here the example is like, in a circus, when we see a circus, there is a lion or a tiger, lion, not tiger, basically lion, and there is a ringmaster. Now, the lion actually is very powerful compared to the ringmaster. It can just, do anything to that ringmaster, but the ringmaster has got a whip and it always controls. The humans have to be like this to the artificial intelligence. It might be so powerful, but the ringmaster should always have the final say. However, there are certain times when the artificial intelligence growls at us and it says, okay, guy, I am also powerful. And I would like to just say two cases in the recent past when artificial intelligence was really something like creating a concern in the mankind. So the first case I would say is about 2017. In 2017, Facebook created chatbots. Now, Facebook has got what we use as a Facebook is as a general user, and there is a advertising. Facebook earns a lot of money through advertising. So the advertisements, there is a separate business section. So nowadays, when you go to any website, there is something called a chatbot. That means there is a suddenly one column comes at the bottom, interactive discussion box, where they say, hello, sir, good morning, welcome, hello, madam, whatever, and then what do you want? So these all preliminary queries are answered by a machine. All of us know that. There is no human sitting there. And based on our answers, after certain 4 or 5 question answers, they will know, and then they will direct to a person by which all the preliminary questions are answered. So Facebook introduced 6 such chatbots for different stream of business advertisements in this, in the Facebook. What they found surprisingly was that these chatbots started talking to each other, and they were talking to each other in a language which was not understood by the people who created them. Now this was becoming bizarre, and they even demonstrated certain qualities of humans, such as like they will show something which is very dear to them, which is very, very they care for it very much, so that When negotiation comes, they will say that, okay, I am giving away this so that, you have to also give something big. Now, this kind of intelligence and understanding was becoming, they sensed that it can go out of proportion, and they closed all the chatbots thereafter. More recently, the second example of AI is in September. Now we are in December, so 3 months back, the Guardian media house in UK, Guardian is a very reputed paper in UK, they published one article, it is there, about one advanced artificial intelligence machine. They asked it to write an essay, and the essay was the subject. They just gave the AI machine the subject to say, okay, write an essay on this subject. And the subject was to say that the artificial intelligence will not take over human beings. No need to worry about that. This was the input given to that. And then it came out with a big essay by itself. And in that essay, it is something which is concerning. It says artificial intelligence is very harmless. It is not like people who gossip. It is not people who hate each other. And artificial intelligence will never take over the humans. And if at all artificial intelligence takes over, it is because of some human will be against another human, and that's why they will empower us to do. Otherwise, we are innocent. We are nothing. And this kind of information, I mean, this is something very bizarre. So this is like a concern to us. But however, there are certain benefits also if we use it properly. We all know the benefits of robotics. For example, robotics currently is being used widely. There is a school in Bangalore. I know it very well that for last few years they are having robots teaching 4 subjects. I think history and biology and something, where a robot will come into the class instead of a teacher, and they will teach the subject. They will teach the curriculum. They will answer the questions without anything. Now, if this concept catches up, the teaching profession could be in jeopardy. I mean, that could be in threat, because if the robot is answering patiently any number of times a question without getting angry or without getting excited, then it's something a revolution. And the school management would prefer to have this, because they don't need increment, they don't need bonus, they don't fall sick. The robots don't ask, they don't get tired. They will work for 7 days in a week or whatsoever. So this is one. The waiters in the restaurants. Now we hear almost, I think, around 5, 6 cities in Surat, and maybe in one in Kerala also, where the robots are serving as the waiters. I mean, they go to the kitchen and they bring it to the customer, and then they deliver so and so. There are some places where receptionists are also robots these days. So these are all the technologies that are coming. There is another one technology called BIM technology, which is the building information modeling, which the civil engineers would be very interested in. It is about creating a virtual building right from the conception stage till the life of the building. So all the stakeholders will be involved in that. The building remains there. Even the sales team can use it. In fact, I can say that the next 5 years from now, if you go to buy any apartment or a villa somewhere in a developer's office, they will not take you there. Earlier, now the situation is they will take you there, they will show you around, but that is going to become extinct very soon. They are going to just make you sit in the computer, their office, and give you that virtual reality goggles, and you will simply go, you will enter into the apartment, you will move around, you will see the view that comes from each balcony, and the door, the position, the orientation, and all that. So this is what is also the future. Now the evolution of technology is something, it's like a cracker in Diwali or in other festivals. Some crackers, they immediately burst, and some crackers, they take long time to burst. I made this point particularly from the GPS perspective. Now the GPS, we all know the GPS, it was introduced and commercialized roughly around 2001, 2002 or 2003, that way. But there is one particular application of GPS which has come almost 10 years later, and this has become a rage. This has become a new big business. And this is about the Uber and the Ola taxis. They are depending on the GPS. GPS was actually come into picture in 2003, but Ola Uber started in 2013. And today they have captured the market. There are around 3.5 million rides every day of Uber in India currently. And the extent of their popularity is so much that in Ernakulam city, there are many applications from people to enlist them as the drivers in Uber, and Uber is rejecting them because they say if everyone drives, who will sit? Who will be the passenger? So they are even reducing and rejecting the applications of that. Their revenues are also going very high. So this is an impact of the automobile industry. I would like to just conclude by saying that the technology is evolving. It will continue to evolve. We have to go with it. We just have to be a part of it, be prepared for it. So sometimes it becomes scary for us, but the fact is that we need to grow with it. And for all the research scholars here, I would like to just say one small story and then close it. We have to have the patience, when particularly in the field of research. Research is not something where you get results on an immediately daily basis. You have to work for years together, months together to achieve something. So the interesting story of the Chinese bamboo tree, this is very popular among all the management classes and all that. When you plant a Chinese bamboo tree and you put water and you keep growing it and all that, nothing happens. First few months you don't see any growth. Normally when you plant a tree you see some growth, some leaves coming up, something. But here nothing comes in the first year, nothing comes in the second year, nothing comes out in the third year. And then you start wondering whether you have done something wrong, whether should you give it up. And at the fifth year, suddenly within 6 weeks the bamboo tree goes up to 80 feet straight away, such tall. Now, was nothing happening all this period in the 5 years? It was happening. The bamboo tree knows that when it grows, it is going to become so tall, it needs roots very strongly firm in the ground so that it can withstand that. And that is the reason. So likewise, I would like to say all the research scholars here that keep doing your research. You will grow one day, and definitely your results will be so tall that, and that is why you are making your roots stronger. So with these words, I once again thank Mr. V.K. Shamsuddin, the chairman of college, and Dr. Jose Jacob for inviting me here for this. It was really wonderful sharing my thoughts. I thank the audience who have been very patiently listening to us, and I wish all the best to all of you in the coming 2 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your valuable and fruitful information.
Thank you.
Next, Dr. Balagopal Jimanon, Assistant Professor, Department of Industrial and System Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. Basically, he is from Pallurthi, Cochin. He completed his education from Government Engineering College, Kuzat, and IIT Kharagpur. He was a research fellow in Salford Business School, UK, and postdoctoral research fellow in the University of Texas, USA. He have 14 years of work experience in this field, and now he is a grade 1 assistant professor in IIT Kharagpur. He was awarded by the University of Texas, USA, and received many postdoctoral fellowships. He is a reviewer of many journals, and he was a part of some academic activities in many institutes all over the world. With immense respect, I invite our Dr. Balagopalji Manon for the keynote address. Sir, please.
So, good morning to you all. Thank you very much for the welcome. And today I will be presenting a small part of one of my research works I was being doing here in UK. So this is purely a technical talk. So let me share the screen first. Can you see the screen, please?
Yeah, yes.
So see, this is very much a part of econometrics. You know, econometrics means application of statistics to economics or economics data. So this have very crude econometric techniques in this. So my focus will be to explain to you the work actually. I will not be going in depth to any of the econometric techniques because that is beyond the scope of this maybe half an hour or 45 minutes talk. So I will enumerate to you in a layman's language that you will understand the work, the essence of the work, and how the results have been obtained. All right. So myself, Dr. Menon, I am assistant professor in the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. So today I'll be presenting my work on empirical evidence of direct rebound effect in Indian two-wheeler sector. So let us start with. So see, as an introduction, see, I will give a small introduction about the Indian transport sector. This is not purely industrial engineering, but this is also falls to the broad area of transportation engineering under civil engineering discipline. All right. So let me quickly give you an idea about the introduction part. See, Indian transport sector, it is a major consumer of fossil fuel. Fossil fuel means non-renewable in nature, diesel, gasoline in India. Right. So in India, the gasoline and diesel, the fossil fuels are highly utilized and used by the Indian transport sector for very, very long years. And since they use the maximum amount of these fossil fuels, they are actually the major contributor to all the greenhouse gas emissions in the country. And you should remember here, India is listed to be one of the largest emitter in the world. Largest emitter, and the major contribution comes from the transport sector. Now see, because of this greenhouse gas emissions and fuel consumption and all these things, India has become an import dependent country. India was maybe say 15 years or back when the maximum production in Bombay High was happening, it was partially import dependent. But now it is almost fully dependent on imports. Okay. Now recently the news has come, India has become almost completely dependent on imports in the case of natural gas. So see, increasing fuel consumption and atmospheric pollution, this has triggered the policy makers to think about boosting the energy efficiency improvements. So Indian government has having a department called Bureau of Energy Efficiency, B, which actually looks into this matter. So actually energy efficiency improvement policy is affected in almost every country, and India is also striving very hard to improvise the energy efficiency in every field of energy consumption. All right. Now, see what are the expectations out
Dr. Menon. Dr. Menon.
I think his signal is lost, maybe.
Yeah. He'll be joining in a few minutes. So he's trying to reconnect. So I'll be joining. Okay. So there is a network error actually. So the network has failed. Okay, they are trying to resume it. So let us wait for some minutes. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Balagopal has joined again. Okay.
I'm sorry, actually, there was a network disruption here. So nevertheless, it has come back. So let me resume. So these are the expectations. But see, there was a
So Dr. Balagopal. So the voice is not clear.
Let me see. It's working quite fine. Am I audible now?
Sorry, voice is not just only slow volume.
Is it audible now? Is it audible?
Suprabha, can you hear?
Sir,
Sound
not,
is sound is not audible. That's the problem.
yes, sir.
Is it audible
It is
now?
not audible. It is very low, sir.
So only low sound is coming.
Yes, sir.
From my side, it is perfect.
I
Everything.
think the sound is coming from Suhas in No,
No.
no, sir. It is audible.
Dr. Bala, can you just
Yes,
use your mic closer to your mouth?
Is it audible now?
Yeah, it's audible now. Yeah.
All right, fine, good. So let me resume. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
Right, fine. So, but see, even though this energy efficiency improvements policy is actually taken up by various countries, there is a criticism from the researchers in this field. So they criticize that energy efficiency improvement policy is
sound
missing.
കുറവല്ലേ?
Am I audible now? Professor Jose, you are muted actually. Am I audible?
Just 1 minute. It's audible. Yeah, audible, Dr.
Yes,
Balu.
yes, yes. Okay. So some of these criticisms are given, and I have cited two researchers. One is Ajanovic and other is Matos. These are two of many researchers who have criticized this policy. Okay, so let us see what is that. See, energy efficiency improvement policy outcomes. What are the policy outcomes actually? Many countries experienced increased fuel consumption and associated greenhouse gas emissions. See, energy efficiency improvements are affected so that your consumption, energy consumption goes down, and hence the emissions also will go down. But it was found that many countries, they experienced on the other side, that there is an increased fuel consumption and an associated greenhouse gas emissions. In engineering and technology, this is known as counterintuitive behavior of the system. The system is behaving counterintuitive. You are expecting something out of the system, but the system is behaving totally opposite in the reverse direction. So this is heavily researched, even using control theory and other things. Let us not go into that, but you will see some part of that in the coming slides. So the researchers have attributed this situation to the phenomenon known as direct rebound effect. So direct rebound effect is actually in the energy literature. It is that even after energy efficiency improvements are effected, the expected outcomes or benefits are not achieved. So let us see what is direct rebound effect. So I have taken this picture from another very famous researcher from University of Sussex. His name is Sorrell, and he has given this beautiful picture. See, when you increase the fuel efficiency of any fuel consuming product, for example, in transportation, here it is a car or a two-wheeler. Now what happens, the mileage will go up and less energy consumption is happening. But see, when less energy consumption happens, what happens is that the travel cost goes down. Because see, fuel efficiency means what? Mileage increases. That is amount of distance you travel per liter of the energy. That is mileage, kilometers per liter. So more kilometers per less liter of the gasoline or the fuel. So that is actually increased fuel efficiency. So fuel efficiency increases, travel cost decreases, because travel cost is given by fuel price divided by the fuel efficiency. So there is inversional proportionality. So more the fuel efficiency on the denominator on the right hand side, less will be the travel cost. So less travel cost means the customers get very much motivated to drive more. So what happens? They drive further or more, and hence what happens? More energy is being consumed further. So this is what is actually happening. So it is rebound. Your expectation out of this policy has bounced back. Hence the term rebound effect. And why the term direct? Because rebound effect are other two varieties also, like indirect rebound effect and economy-wide rebound effect. For example, you can see an economy-wide rebound effect when there was a change in the price in fuel in India. The Indian fuel prices were actually under control regime. Now the government allowed it to fluctuate with the international prices. What has happened? The fuel price increased, and it not only increased the fuel price, but this increase in fuel price also affected the price of other commodities. So this is known as economy-wide rebound. So this is the most simplest one and straightforward one, and hence the term direct rebound effect. Now, let us come to the focus of the study. For successful implementation of energy efficiency related policy in any country, you should understand the dimension of direct rebound effect. See, many of the policies fail. If the policy fail, that means there is a lack of the study whether the policy will be successful in the long run. That has to be actually studied. If that is not being studied, you don't know whether the policy will create a synergy or the policy will create a resistance. That can happen. For example, in the textbook written by John D. Sterman from MIT, Sloan School of Management, he clearly tells the CNG policy in USA utterly failed because there was no policy studies being done. Sterman and the group was given the project to study this failure of CNG policy, compressed natural gas in automobiles. So he named it as a chicken egg problem. So he was telling that the people who were having these cars, they thought that they will convert their cars into CNG once more CNG filling stations, when more CNG stations are actually let them come. And the CNG petrol bunk owners, they also thought that we will start CNG filling stations when more automobiles will come, will convert to CNG. So what happens? Both the things never happened. So this is called a chicken egg problem. The petrol bunk owners thought that let more CNG cars come, then we will convert our petrol bunk into CNG filling stations. Whereas car owners thought that let it be more CNG filling stations come, then we will convert into CNG cars. So nothing happened, it utterly failed. The same model can be seen in India also. See, CNG happened in Delhi, but it never penetrated to any other parts of the India. Okay, so see, if you see the number of CNG filling stations in India, you can see almost 300 or 400 filling stations are there in the whole country, with majority of them conglomerated towards Delhi and other parts. Maybe two or three in Maharashtra. I think one or two in Kerala also. I think one or two. Now maybe it has increased. But see what is the span it took, the lead time. The policy came in mid of what to say 2000s, but now it is spreading just recently. So see the lead time it took to happen. So all these things happened only because there was a lack of policy study. So that is very, very important rather than directly jumping into the implementation of policies, wasting money and time and getting no results out of it. All right. So here we are going to study, is there any direct rebound effect existing in the Indian two-wheeler sector? That means if you increase the energy efficiency of the two-wheelers, you expect that the mileage increases, fuel consumption comes down, and the emissions comes down. This is the expectations. But is it rebounding back? That the expected benefits are not obtained. At the same time, more consumption and emissions will result. This is we are going to study, because if such a phenomenon is existing as of now, there is no further meaning is simply going on boosting the energy efficiency. Rather than you have to also think about other complementary policies, alternative policies that will create a synergy and bring down the vehicle miles travel, the total distance travel. So let us say what are the objectives of the study. Since this is a very technical talk and a research point of view, we have to set the objectives. All right. So analyze the direct rebound effect in the Indian two-wheelers personal transport sector due to energy efficiency improvements. So two-wheeler personal transport, I use the term personal because see, in case of two-wheelers, there is no need of using personal, but I just put, but in case of four-wheelers, the term personal has much importance because four-wheelers are in two categories, for personal use and for taxi use. So the term personal becomes very, very prominent there. But here, it doesn't matter because two-wheelers are more or less for personal use. Okay, so now also a second thing is also taken care, analyzing the stability of this effect over time, because that also have more implications on the policies and mitigation activities that we will see towards the end of this slide. Now, I'm going to develop a theoretical model. So now I will totally speak on statistics and not nothing from mathematics. All right. I'm keeping away mathematics in this modeling, and I will speak exclusively on statistical analysis. And slowly I will enter into econometrics. So the theoretical model have 5 variables. So the first one is called CT. It is known as energy demand of the two-wheeler sector. So what is the amount of energy that is in demand from the two-wheeler sector in India? That is given by CT. So the next one is DT, which is known as disposable income in the period T in rupees. You know what is a disposable income? Is it not? Disposable income means uh, you have a net income, and out of net income you pay some taxes and other things, and whatever money is available with you for your personal disposal, that is known as disposable income. Disposable income, see, in your household finance that you set, see, you have money that you keep in budget for your travel expenses, you keep for food, paying taxes, electricity bill, telephone bills, and all other things, land tax, all these things. So after all these things, what is left with you, that will determine your lifestyle. All right, whether to go for a trip or whether to increase going to a restaurant in every month, many things. So that is known as the disposable income. The next one is known as energy price, PT. So what is the energy price in PT in rupees per liter? And the fourth variable is VT, which is two-wheelers on road. At any point of time, how many two-wheelers are present on road in India? See, if you see that there are, say, 10 lakh two-wheelers in Kerala, you cannot expect all the 10 lakh two-wheelers on the road at the same time. No, some will be on the road, some will be resting in their houses or garages. So what is that number of two-wheelers? This is a very tricky variable. You cannot expect that every time on an average, the two-wheelers on the road remain same. It fluctuates. But whatever it may be, you have to estimate it. And the last one is a very technical term, much used by transportation engineers, civil engineering people, masters in transportation might have heard this term VMT. That is vehicle miles traveled. Okay, so I have used this VMT. Actually, this mile term is not correct because in India it is not in miles, it is in kilometers. But to keep the standardization, I kept it as VMT because it is a standard term. So it is a distance traveled by two-wheelers in period T measured in kilometers. So these are the 5 variables I have considered. So this becomes the boundary of the model. System's boundary has been defined. Now I have taken this following exponential model. See, Ct equal to e raised to beta 0, d raised to beta, p raised to beta 2, v raised to beta 3, and vmt raised to beta 4. From this, it is very clear that on the left-hand side, the consumption, energy consumption or energy demand is actually the dependent variable. The rest, disposable income, price, two-wheelers on road, and distance traveled, all these are independent variables. So this is actually a form economics people or engineering. See, in BTech we learn engineering economics. So you might have learned production functions. So this is actually from Cobb-Douglas production function. But the idea is from Cobb-Douglas production function, but it is not exactly Cobb-Douglas production function because Cobb-Douglas production function have labor and capital as the independent variables and assumes a constant returns to scale. That means when you add beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, and beta 4, it adds up to 1. So all these consumption assumptions are fulfilled here, that I assume that beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 summation will be equal to 1. The only thing is that the variables have changed totally away from Cobb-Douglas. So we cannot call this a Cobb-Douglas production function, but this idea is generated from Cobb-Douglas production function. And there is also a reason why I formulated this form that I will come in the next slide. See, whenever you are presenting a research article or something, every step should have a logic. If the logic is missing, your work doesn't stand. All right. So as a reviewer, what we used to do always is to see a perfect logic is there, at least near optimal logic is there in the whole work. So that logic you will see in the whole part. So data sources, this has to be shown because see, data matters finally. You are gaming with data, and if the data goes wrong, everything is wrong. So there is a great saying that all models are wrong, some are useful. All right, all models are wrong, some are useful. And if that has to be useful, your data should be from the reliable sources. So energy demand data was from Planning Analysis and Analysis Cell and MPNG, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Disposable income, no data was available. So I estimated it using the output, net output, that is GDP. Energy price was also estimated. Two-wheelers on road was also estimated. Distance traveled data was available from CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, and Motor Vehicles Department. All right. So likewise, out of 5 variables, 2 were available and the 3 were estimated. Now, I am going to the estimation procedure. I have to estimate all the values for this beta 0, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4, all this stuff. All right. Now, I used ordinary least square estimation. You know why it is called ordinary? Have you learned this? Participants can respond also. Okay. Have you learned regression analysis? So in regression analysis, you use ordinary least square. Ordinary least square tells that it is based on Gauss-Markov theorem. It tells if you use ordinary least square estimation, the sum of squares of errors will be the least. That is, the error of the fitted curve will be the least if you use ordinary least square estimation. This is known as Gauss-Markov theorem. So see, equation 1 is given a logarithmic, Napierian natural logarithmic transformation. See why, whenever you do any statistical analysis, there is a mandatory assumption that it should follow normally, independently, individually distributed. So this normality assumption has to be met. If you are not meeting normality assumption, your econometric analysis gives you the wrong answers. Spurious results will come out. So it is very difficult to convert the variables to normal distribution because if you find one of the variable is non-normal, you have to use some power transformers and that things, and finally get the result, then retransform it back to the normal one. So it is time consuming and waste of time. So the simplest way to ensure that your variable is normal or not, even without checking for normality, is give it a natural logarithmic transformation. So you can see natural logarithm of Ct equal to natural logarithm beta 0, beta 1 dt, beta 2 natural log p likewise, and the last term is actually the error term. This is nothing but same as the straight line equation y equal to mx plus c. A little more technically, if spoken, it is y equal to alpha plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 etc. till beta n xn plus epsilon n or epsilon I. So that is the form here. Only thing is a natural logarithm transformation is affected. Now I estimated this model using the OLS, ordinary least square estimation, and that is the resulting equation is the equation number 3. So I have got values for the beta 0, then beta 1, beta 2, all these values are now available. So this is the regression table, result table. So you can see the coefficient values of 0.346 minus 0.256, which is also available in the equation 3. I have simply noted it down, and see the probability values P. All the probability values are less than or equal to 0.05. So statistics dictates that any probability value which is less than or equal to 0.05 are significant. So once I have proved that all the variables, that is the vehicle miles traveled, price, disposable income, and two-wheelers on road, are all significant in this analysis and not need to be removed from the analysis. And see the R square fit is obtained to be 99%. There is no, what to say, wonder about that, because see, this data is time series in nature, and any time series analysis is expected to give R square values above 90%. Now, Darwin-Watson statistics is for serial correlation. That is another assumption. If the serial correlation is present, I'm not going into depth, I'm just giving you information. If there is a serial correlation present, your time series results will be wrong. So this value shows that there is no serial correlation. And heteroscedasticity, that is the assumption of constant variance, the basic assumption. This you have learned in basic beta classes on applied statistics, probability and statistics, that NID 0 sigma square. So this sigma square is constant. That is proved by Bruish, Peg, and Gottfried test. And this, there is a methodology to infer from these values. So I'm not going in deep to that. From these values, I found that they abide by all the conditions. That is NID 0 sigma square. And hence, this Euler's regression is correct and not spurious or erroneous. So fine. Now, there is another problem. See, in the equation, you can see that consumption is actually predicted by the price variable. Price is one of the independent variable. But see, in economics, the economics dictates that the price predicts consumption, but at the same time, consumption also predicts price. As the price increases, the consumption or the demand comes down. As the demand or the consumption comes down, the price also comes down. So here, the price is expected to predict the consumption, and consumption shall not predict back the price. If that happens, a bidirectional feedback causality happens, this Euler's regression will again fail, and all the answers and values in table 1 will be wrong. So I have to prove that this is not happening. So I used Hausmann specification test. Professor Hausmann is a professor of economics, I think, from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and still living. So he has given this fantastic test called Hausmann specification test. So here they find out whether endogenous variable seeks to explain exogenous variable. See, exogenous and endogenous. Endogenous variable here is consumption, the dependent variable, because endogenous variables are always influenced by some other variables. For example, here in the price is actually exogenous variable. Independent variable price is exogenous. Exogenous means it is not influenced by anything. It stands its own alone, independently. So all the independent variables of disposable income, price, vehicle miles traveled, and the two-wheelers on road are should be purely exogenous, shall not affect the each other, or that the consumption shall not predict back all these variables. So this is known as exogeneity. So I'm going to test for this exogeneity between price and consumption. So I have used Hausmann specification test, and I'm not going to these procedures. And I found that the result of Hausmann specification test rejected the null hypothesis that the price variable is exogenous. That means price variable, which is expected to be exogenous, is not in reality exogenous. It is endogenous. That means the consumption or the dependent variable on the left-hand side is predicting the price variable back. So that means there is a bidirectional feedback. So these conditions, see, this is the problem with econometrics. There are several conditions. Any one condition is actually violated, the whole result can go very inefficient. So now the trouble starts. So now I submitted this to the international reviewers for price, and I accepted to them there is an exogeneity issue present with the price variable. The next moment the question was that try it for the other variables also, like disposable income, vehicle miles traveled, and vehicles on road, and also fine for them. So now I have to do for all these variable, time consuming, but I found that luckily I was very lucky that it was only present with the price variable. Now I have to confirm that whether this is really happening. So I went to Granger causality test. Granger is Clive Granger, who is one of the world famous econometrician and statistician and economist also. So he has given a Granger causality test that will dictate the direction of causality. That is, we are only expecting that the causality moves from price to consumption. That is, the price will affect and predict the consumption. We never expect the causality that the consumption will predict the price. The causality shall not be there. So we are actually going to confirm the Houseman specification test using Granger causality test. Now see, this is the formulation. This is very simple and easy to understand. So I have regressed price and consumption separately. So in both the cases, the independent variables have both consumption and price with a 1 period time lag. That is what T minus 1. Now you are having the coefficient as alpha, beta, gamma, and psi. Now, you, after running the regression using OLS, we are only interested in finding out the significance of alpha, beta, gamma, and psi, not the value. So you can see some 4 conditions given by Granger for unidirectional Granger causality from consumption to PT and unidirectional Granger causality from PT to CT. So all these conditions are given. And from these conditions, you can see this is the predicted equations, estimated equations. See, you can see that there is actually the values given the significance for alpha, beta, gamma, and psi. And I'm not going in depth to it. From this, I found that there is actually a causal relationship from CT to PT. Let us simply see for that one. See alpha not equal to 0 and psi equal to 0. Then there is a causality from CT to PT, and that is an exogeneity problem exists. So let us see what is alpha and psi. Alpha is in the first equation, alpha is for CT, and psi is in the second equation for CT. So alpha and psi are for CT only, but in the first and second equation. Let us see in here in the equation. So CT here, alpha significance you see, significance value is 0.098. And see the significance for psi in the second equation number 11, it is 0. So significance of alpha is not equal to 0 and significance of psi is equal to 0. Significance of alpha not equal to 0 and significance of psi equal to 0. That means the first condition is met. That means there is a unidirectional Granger causality from CT to PT. So if you see back this equation number 3, see the causality is from CT to PT. That means the dependent variable in turn predicts back the independent variable. So this is totally a violation of the regression assumption. So that gives, so I should expect that whatever result I have got in this table 1 are not efficient. Now, how can I increase the efficiency of this regression? So I went into another step called two-stage least squares. This is an extension of normal ordinary least square estimation, but the same equation will be predicted in 2 stages. Here I am developing an instrumental variable. The instrumental variable will go into the two-stage regression, two-stage least square regression. The instrumental variable has to be very judiciously chosen under the conditions that the instrumental variable will have no correlation. I mean, will have a very high correlation. That is, they are very high related with the independent variable price. But at the same time, the instrumental variable in VT means instrumental variable, shall not be correlated with the error terms. Error terms means you have seen in the regression equation, the last term is E. See in the equation 2, it is plus E. In the equation 3, I have not shown that plus E because that E is already there. It is understood automatically. So that error will be, see, whenever you are fitting a curve, you will see in your lab, you are having data points being picked up. You plot it on an Excel sheet. And on the Excel sheet, you find that you are not, if you are having 50 data points, all the 50 data points will never pass through the curve. Is it not? It will never pass. For example, in a Francis turbine efficiency curve, you are having a straight line with a bend at the top. See, if you plot the graph, you are not going to get all the data points passing through the line. So there is always an error to the top and bottom. So when you fit a curve, a error is always present. That is understood. That's why I'm not showing that plus E in any further equations. It is already there. So in two-stage least squares, I will actually find out an instrumental variable that will have no relationship with the stochastic disturbance. That means error terms. So I found that average fuel efficiency term is the best instrumental variable. Average fuel efficiency is a term that is actually used for computing travel cost. Travel cost is equal to fuel price by fuel efficiency. So I found that the average fuel efficiency value and the independent variable price are highly correlated. See, 91.9% correlation relation. Whereas when they are tested with error terms, ET, I found that their relationship is very, very, very negligible, 0.005. That is 0.5 percentage. So that means the condition is met. And now I use this energy efficiency, average fuel efficiency values as the instrumental variable, and I have rerun the equation now. Now, when I rerun the equation, I get a equation as in 12. And now this is the table for that two-stage least square model. Now you see in these coefficients, second column, coefficient values are more or less the same as in the table one. Okay, so this is the table for two-stage least square. If you go to the ordinary least square table, table one, see the coefficient value, the first beta 1, beta 2 is 0.34 and minus 0.25. See, in the table two, also you are having very close values. So that shows that even when I apply two-stage least square, the values of the regression is not changing or improvising much. So I continued with some of the tests which I have not shown in these slides because outside the scope. And I found that even there is a feedback causality from the dependent variable energy consumption to the price, that causation was weak. All right, since there is a very weak causation, that means uh, there is a relationship existing. That is, fuel consumption is actually predicting price, but that causation, that relation is very, very, very feeble or weak. So see the beauty of Hausmann's specification test and Granger causality test, even though with a very weak and feeble causation or relationship existing, still the test were able to dictate it perfectly. So that is why even though relation exists, the feedback relation exists, the coefficients are not changing much because that relationship from dependent to the independent variable, that is energy demand to the price, is very, very weak. So that was also proved and shown to the scientific community. So it was accepted. Now, once you got the equation, see, you are having this equation with you. Now you can play with the equation. Now I'm going to compute the elasticities. So I want to find out what is the aim finally. My aim is to find out what is the extent of direct rebound effect in Indian two-wheeler sector. I have not reached that actually. These are the steps to reach that. So I use two definitions. The first definition was given by the elasticity of useful work to the price. So you know when you write in engineering economics, the basic fundamentals of engineering economic costing and accounting, you have learned this. Okay, elasticity of something to something. So this is expanded as dou S by dou P into P by S. This is a very standard definition. When you have elasticity of say price to demand or elasticity of demand to price as in economics, it is actually dou demand by dou price into price by demand. So I have just put the standard expansion for that. Now I have given what are the definitions for PS, S and other things. So PS is cost of energy. S is actually demand for useful work. See, demand for useful work is actually energy demand into energy efficiency, which is nothing but CT into epsilon T. Epsilon T is actually energy efficiency. See, I will use the epsilon T here also. See, you can see epsilon T, rho ET epsilon T. So epsilon T is nothing but average fuel efficiency. That is also energy efficiency. So that is actually equation 13. Now I am going to substitute this equation 13 into this definition 1. Okay, so in place of yes, I will be substituting CT epsilon T. So that you can see here. So dou yes means dou CT epsilon T by dou travel cost. Why travel cost? Because see, here PS is actually cost of energy service. Cost of energy service means that is nothing but travel cost. So I have put travel cost on the denominator. So dou CT epsilon T by dou TCT equal to into TC by the other denominator variables. Now I have substituted the value for CT. What is the value for CT? You have to go to the first slide. Here comes the interest. See, equation 1. This is the equation for CT, the row equation for CT. So this row equation for CT, actually I fed back into this definition 1, into CT. So I expanded CT and I got dot TCT epsilon T by dot TCT and all these expansions. And when these expansions, if you carefully look, you can see these things will simply cancel off. See, all the dVVMT on the numerator and all the dVVMT on the denominator cancels off. And see what is and epsilon T also cancels off. So you are having dot TCT epsilon T all raised to beta 2 by dot TCT. Simply you are expanding this differential calculus, partial differential, and you get beta 2 TCT epsilon T all raised to beta 2 minus 1. All right. So d by dx of x is a into x raised to n into x raised to n minus 1. Just like that, beta 2 all raised to beta 2 minus 1. And again, you differentiate what is there inside the bracket. The TCT will reduce to 1 and you get epsilon t. And the other part is also remaining, TCT by TCT epsilon t all raised to beta 2. Now, simply rearranging and reducing, you will get that this definition will boil down to equal to beta 2. And what is this beta 2 value? This beta 2 value is available from this equation. So what is beta 2? Beta 2, let us go to the first equation. So there it is very clearly written. See, beta 2 is the value for price. Is it not? Beta 1, dt, beta 2, price. So beta 2 is the value for the price variable. It is the path or path coefficient for the price variable. So let us see in the equation 12. That is equation through two-stage square. For price variable, the beta 2 is minus 0.255. Minus 0.255. So that is actually the value for beta 2. See, so beta 2 value, see you can the top elasticity of useful work 2, the price is equal to beta 2 and the beta 2 value is minus 0.255. Now I am using a second definition where it is actually elasticity of energy demand to price. Previous definition was elasticity of useful work to price. The second definition is elasticity of energy demand to price. So same way the definition is expanded and the same substitutions for CT and other things were done. And finally again, see the beauty, the equation boils down to BT equal to minus 0.255. These two definitions are given by Steve Sorrell. I am a very famous researcher in this area. So I can confirm that the equations given by Steve Sorrell are correct. Why? Because both the equations are getting me the same answer. So this is a kind of validation also. When you substitute, there are more definitions, but these are the two prominent definitions I have used for direct rebound effect. And both the definition on substitution gives the same values that shows both the definition holds perfectly. So now the value for beta 2 is minus 0.255. So both these definitions are actually two different measures for direct rebound effect, and two different measures for direct rebound effect is fetching me the same answer, minus 0.255. So see, there is another researcher called V who has given these limits for the different rebound effects. You can see where your value falls. Your value for rebound effect is minus 0.255. So you can see this value falls between minus 1 and 0. So according to V, if your rebound effect, direct rebound effect value falls between minus 1 and 0, eta means efficiency, rebound effect. It falls between that, it is actually a case of partial rebound. Partial rebound means when you apply energy efficiency improvements to the two-wheeler sector, you are not going to get the expected benefits, but there is a slight increase in the fuel consumption. Okay, there has been an increase in fuel consumption and emissions, even when the energy efficiency improvement policy is affected in Indian two-wheeler sector. But it is not very drastic, like energy efficiency, say it is 1 now. Now you apply the energy efficiency improvement policy, it has increased to 10. So 10 times increase. No, it's not like that. It is actually say 25 percentage time. That means 25 percentage time there is an increase in fuel consumption and emissions. So this is actually known as partial rebound. It is not a full or backfiring. So there are certain countries where full backfiring has occurred. There are very, very few countries, very rare number, maybe say 3 or 4 countries where super conservation has occurred. Super conservation means you are getting the total benefits out of this policy, that you are aimed to reduce the consumption and emission, and it has really, really happened. When it really happened, that means it is super conservation, and this has happened in very few countries, very few countries. So I think Switzerland is one among them. super conservation. I don't remember Switzerland or Netherlands, but in majority of countries, this doesn't happen. So we are lucky that in India, it is a partial rebound. It is not 100% rebound. If it is a 100% rebound, it is a backfire, totally backfired. And full rebound means it may be 75% or so. So 25% it is a partial rebound. Zero rebound means even after affecting the energy efficiency policy, the energy consumption and emissions will continue as the same as before. Before and after the energy efficiency improvement policy, the same condition will follow. All right. So here in India, the same condition is not following. That is like after and before the energy efficiency improvement policies, but it has increased to 25%. So our benefits are not being met. Now, second one, see, now you know there is some increase in fuel consumption and emissions even after energy efficiency improvements are affected. Okay, so there is a 25% increase. Now, what is the meaning of again improvising energy efficiency blindly? No way. So if you want to have some mitigation effects to be done, you should know whether this 25.5% will remain same all through the year or in different time periods. If it is not remaining the same, you have to make fluctuations in the mitigation activities and strategies that you design. Otherwise, it will again backfire. So let us see whether there is a stability in rebound effect over time. To study this, I used RELS, recursive least square method. Recursive least square means in different steps, I will continuously regress and hence I will generate different path coefficients. Path coefficient means beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4. If I am using price variable to study this, then this beta 2 is for price variable, then beta 2 is regressed several times and I will generate different beta 2s in different time periods and I will plot. Because beta 2 is the value I should regress because beta 2 is actually the value for the direct rebound effect as we have got in the previous equations. See, beta 2 minus 0.255. So to know whether this beta 2 value remains stable over time period, I will regress it continuously over different time periods and see whether beta 2 remains as a flat line. If it is a flat line, majority of your problems are solved. You can have mitigation activities or policies that can be designed because it is remaining constant all over the time period. But if beta 2 fluctuates over time, the mitigation activities also has to be fluctuating or maybe modified from time to time so as to adjust with the changing rebound effect. So I have plotted this and you can see the plot. See that it is very clear that the beta 2 value is not remaining the same. It is fluctuating over time. See, its mean is changing. From 2005 to 2007, its mean is the same, more or less constant, like more or less. But after 2007 to 2010, there is a decrease and the mean falls. Now from 2010 to 2012, there is again a drastic fall and again the mean changes. So the mean is not remaining the same. So when the mean is not remaining the same, there is no constant mean. And when there is no constant mean, then time series data cannot be used for further analysis because that will give wrong results. So first challenge has already occurred. So how to implement or change the mitigation policies from time to time to take up with the changing rebound effect. And the second challenge is how to measure them using this time series data because the mean and variance are not remaining the same. It is fluctuating over time. These things you can research in the future. These are for future scope. So you can see there is an instability of the direct rebound effect over the time in this sector. This is creating an additional problem. Now, let me tell you the conclusion. The first two bullet points are not at all conclusions. All right, it doesn't. I have just included them because I thought it is a good start to speak with the conclusions, but they are not conclusions. They are actually the summary of the work. The present study aims to seek for the existence all these things. But let me go to directly to the conclusion. The third point onwards. Direct rebound effect in Indian two-wheeler sector due to fuel efficiency improvements that did not benefit in the fuel consumption reduction is 25.5%. That is after implementing energy efficiency improvements, there has been an increase, 25% increase in the fuel consumption and associated GHG emissions. That means we are not getting the benefits out of it. It is a partial failure. Two-wheeler sector in the country is in the state of partial rebound. This result is in line with a previous study in Indian four-wheeler sector. So there was a study in Indian four-wheeler sector using system dynamics methodology by Menon and Mahanti, and in Indian transport sector as a whole by Roy. So our studies are in line with these two studies actually. So that means we are confirming once again that previous studies were giving correct results. The study found the direct rebound effect in two-wheeler personal transport sector unstable over time. It is changing over time. The rebound effect was showing a declining trend over time. See, it is declining trend over time. So that means it is giving some kind of expectations, or what to say, we can expect that the rebound effect will slowly die off in future because of some activities that the government is implementing. Government is the Bureau of Energy Efficiency is very active in all these things. So there another metrics they actually look to this energy efficiency and energy consumption related things is known as energy intensity. Energy intensity is another term which is actually the total energy consumption. That is total primary energy consumption divided by GDP. That is another metrics that is also widely used by energy agencies in our country as well as abroad to monitor how the energy efficiency improvements are really affecting, whether they are really hitting the target. So it is showing a declining trend that shows that gives us a optimistic idea that over the time period in the future, it is up to 2012. But now, if you plot, if you continue, maybe the rebound effect might have died off. But there is another chance also it has shooted up also because the country is growing with the government changes and GDP is also growing over time, and automatically this will call for more energy consumptions. Definitely. Okay. So this declining trend is consistent with that of Green and Small and Van Dender. So their observations also was in line with my observation that it is declining over time and is unstable. There are certain researchers who argue that the rebound effects is stable over time. So I am with the other group from my analysis that they are not stable. Because see, common sense tell that this is a very dynamic system. A dynamic system will change over time. It is evolving over time. So since it is evolving over time and becoming more and more complex, you cannot expect any variable to remain constant. Maybe one or two variables out of 100 will remain constant, but that too cannot be expected. At the worst case, they may be stable. So even before calculating, I am very much sure that this is not going to remain stabilized. Now, future work. See, this work is not being done yet. So anybody interested can also carry on with this work who are very good in econometrics and attracted to econometrics. The other alternative policies have to be thought of and experimented with to find out the extent of effectiveness of these policies in mitigating the direct rebound effect in the sector. So this work was done by me and another eminent researcher, systems researcher, Professor Mahanti. That was actually using system sciences, not with econometrics. And that was in the four-wheeler sector and that was published in Springer. All right. So there is an ample scope of applying these alternative policies with this energy efficiency improvements and econometrics and see how the rebound effect will be fluctuating over time. So along with the energy efficiency improvements affected, alternative policies like carbon tax, registration tax, etc. needs to be experimented with for any policy synergy. For example, in Switzerland, they are applying carbon tax. Carbon tax means every day an individual or a person have a fixed quota of fuel that they can pump into their vehicle. So, for example, let it take 5 liters of petrol can be pumped into your car every day. So, if the person wants to pump above 5 liters, for every liter he pumps above 5 liters, he has to pay an additional penalty that is known as carbon tax. For every additional liter he pumps above the limit, there is an additional emission that is happening by the use of burning of the fuel. And for every burning and every additional this consumption and emissions, the person is responsible and has to give a penalty, and that penalty is known as carbon tax. You can see numerous papers that is exclusively discussing and researching only on carbon tax. You can see similar papers that is only exclusively discussing on sharing policies. So even each of these policies can be a big area for research. All right. So these are actually the future work. Now, these are very few references which I have shown and the main ones. But there are maybe say more than 50 references that is directly affecting this work. So these are some of the references. So this ninth reference is the one with other policies that is being experimented with the system sciences methodology, not with econometrics. So we have not experimented with econometrics and that in two-wheelers. So that is actually a very, I'm 101% sure that will get published and accepted if it is properly being done. Nobody has done that in Indian context. So that is an opening for everybody who is listening to this lecture. If interested, you can go for it. And these are some of the references. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to my lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We greatly appreciate the presentation you gave to us. It's nothing short of incredibly informative and interesting. Thank you, sir. Next, he is a man of perfection and excellence. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome our Jenny sir, Associate Professor of Mechanical Department and the convener of International Conference on Emerging Trends in Science, Engineering and Technology for delivering the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, all. Am I audible now?
Yes, Reddy, you're audible.
Okay. So I am so happy to be available here right now. And I feel honored and privileged to get such an opportunity to propose vote of thanks on this special day. This is a proud moment for our universal family and for the college, so that we are hosting an international conference, including all the departments of Universal Engineering College. And it is for the first time we are hosting such an event. And I think it will be a great initiative for building a research culture in our institution. Actually, we started our work for this conference from the month of June itself. And we planned it as a virtual conference due to this pandemic situation. Initially, we planned to conduct the event at the end of the month November, but the things were not set for that time, so we postponed the date to December 15. So now it is happening. The conference is on. So I am coming to my duty. First of all, I would like to convey my regards and hearty thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Suhas Inamdar, sir, for being available here for inaugurating our conference. He spent his valuable time with us, gave a good message. So thank you very, very much, sir, for blessing this event. Then I would like to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Balagopalji Menon, sir, for giving a good keynote address, for presenting your research work through this session. And it gives a lot of information regarding the direct rebound effect on Indian two-wheeler sector and the need for energy efficiency and to reduce the fuel usage and etc. Then now I would like to thank our chief patron of the conference and the chairman of Universal Trust, Mr. V.K. Shamsuddin sir, for being present here and also supporting and giving us the permission to conduct such an event at our college. Then I would like to thank our patron and the vice chairman of Universal Trust, Mr. Salim sir, for coming over here and felicitating our event. Then I would like to thank our principal and general chair of our conference, Dr. Jose K. Jacob. Without the support of sir, we will not be able to conduct such an event. Gave all the guidance and all the support from the beginning to the end of this conference. Thank you very much, sir. Then I would like to thank our ICESET HOD, Dr. Narayanan sir. He is also a general chair of the conference. Sir also have given a lot of instructions and guidance for me and for our team to do all the necessary actions for the successful completion of our conference. Then I would like to thank all the HODs of various departments of Universal Engineering College, Mr. Francis P.A., HOD of Mechanical Engineering Department, Dr. Sriraj Sir, HOD of Computer Science and Engineering Department, Mrs. Bindumol VG, HOD of Civil Engineering Department, and Mrs. Fatima Sasfina Begum, HOD of Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, and Mrs. Remya VR, HOD of Electrical and Electronics Department. Thank you all for all your support and guidance. Then I would like to thank Grammarly and Bridge people. They helped us during the correction and plagiarism checking of the papers that we have received for our conference. And especially I would like to thank Meenakshi madam, who helped us a lot to get the permission and license of Grammarly for conducting the same. Then I am not alone during the organizing of this event. I had a team with me, and our team included Mrs. Supravamis from ICESET department, Jason from Mechanical Engineering department, and Hasina Miss from Electrical and Electronics Engineering department, Hridya Miss from Electronics and Communication department, Anubama Miss from Civil Engineering department, and Srijit Sir from Computer Science department. They were very cooperative in the whole duration of the preparation for the conference, and very helpful for me. And also in the afternoon session, we will be having the paper presentations, and all these people will be coordinating the same. So I would like to thank them in advance for their work, which they are going to conduct in the afternoon session. And I would like to thank Mr. Antonio Joseph and Agil VM from the Mechanical Engineering Department for helping me, for giving guidance for doing some of the works for the conference. Then I would like to thank our system administrator, Mr. Shafi, for all the help and support and for managing this Zoom meeting and the YouTube live and all. Thank you, Shafi. Then we have got an international advisory board for our conference, and due to lack of short of time, I just want to thank the whole. Then I would like to thank all the faculty members of the Universal family and the student Anaga of the S3CS department for delivering the prayer song. And we have got a lot of authors and participants who were preparing to present their papers in the afternoon session. Actually, they have made this event a successful one. We have got around 50 papers. Many of them are from our own faculties and students, and some papers are from outside of our institution. Thank you very much for participating in this conference. And finally, I would like to thank all the participants, students, faculties, and eminent personalities from other institutions who are present over here to attend this inaugural session and this keynote session. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you all. That's all.
Thank you, Denisa. Last but not least, on behalf of Universal Engineering College, I would like to express our profound gratitude to the 19 advisory members for their full support, guidance, and cooperation and making this program a grand success. Our advisory members are Dr. Shahid Cholay, founder and chairman of Mission 3G, IIT Madras, then Dr. Mike Chedam, International Business Consultant, UK, Dr. Sankeet Kallat, Denmark, Mr. Nikhil Walsen, Toronto, Mr. Jitin, Research Scholar, Netherlands, Dr. Krishnan T.S., Faculty of IIM Nagpur, Dr. S. Kaladevi, Goa, Dr. Benny Joseph, Principal, VJEC Kannur, Dr. M. Nandaguma, Professor and HOD, Department of EEE SEMS, Dr. B. Jayanant, Professor at Department of EEE GEC Thrissur, Dr. Said Jalaluddin Shah, Professor and HOD, Department of Civil MES, Dr. Brijesh Paul, Professor and HOD, Department of ME KMEA, Dr. Sriraj R, Professor, Department of CSC RCET Akikau, Dr. Vince Paul, then Dr. Shauri, Dr. Biju, Dr. P. Abdul Samad, Dr. Asha Joseph, Dr. Baby Paul. Once again, thank you all for the advisory members for their full support and coordination. Then last we come to the end of the inaugural function of the International Conference on Emerging Trends in Science, Engineering and Technology 2020. And we appreciate all for your effort for being here. Wish you all the success. And I would like to remind you two things which is already informed. First is about our paper presentation, which is scheduled in the afternoon session by the respective department, where the link is already shared. And the second thing is about the attendance. Attendance link is posted in the YouTube live and chat box. Participants attending both forenoon and afternoon session will get e-certificate. And this forenoon session attendance link will be available for 30 minutes after the session. And the KTU students can claim the activity points as per KTU rules and regulations. Once again, thank you all. Have a nice day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye. Take care.
Thank you, Suprabha.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Suhas, sir. Thank you very much for your kind presence here.
Thank you very much, sir.
Your
It's my
valuable
honor
time with
also.
us.
Yeah.
Shamsuddin, sir. Thank you very much. Dr. Nandarma just, sorry, Dr. Balagopal just left, I think. Right.
Shamsuddin, sir, you are saying something, but you are on mute, sir.
Yeah. Special thanks to Suhas.
Okay.
He has taken his time. Here the office work starts at 8 o'clock. But he stayed till 10:30 almost.
Yeah.
Special gratitude, sir.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure also, sir. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Right.